everybody. It's Cindy here with Meet Cindy. Um, Welcome to the show. And today we have Justin Kusu. He's he's an Airbnb expert who has done this for over 4 years and scaled up from 1 to 12 Airbnb homes in 18 months. Also, if you guys like this content about making money, personal finance, building financial freedom, and passive income, make sure to subscribe below and smash the like button. All right, welcome, Justin.
Hello.
Hi, Justin. Mind introducing more about yourself?
Yeah, thanks so much, Cindy. So just a little bit about me. I started young selling Cutco, paid my way through school. Afterwards, I was in tech sales, so I just focused on, just living below my means, saving up money every month. I'd save like $1,000 or $2,000. Just did that for several years, and then ultimately got my start in real estate when I bought my first house 4 years ago. So after I bought my first house, I decided to Airbnb it out. And what's interesting is that if I only did it through like a regular rental, I'd make like $200 or $300 in profit. But then in Airbnb, then I was able to make on average like $1,500 in profit per month. And I didn't know what I was doing back then, so it was working out. So I did that for a whole year. Then after that first year, then I bought house number 2 3 years ago. I'm like, okay, I need to double down. And then all of a sudden, those 2 houses were on Airbnb. And then I learned about rental arbitrage. That's where you rent a house, and then with the landlord's permission, you re-rent it on Airbnb. So I started doing those, and then I scaled up from 1 to 12 houses over 18 months. I just was adding on, 1 or 2 houses a month. And then, things went really well. I was able to quit my job 2 years ago. And then these days I just run about like 15 Airbnbs. And then I also help clients. So I do coaching. So I help clients either, if they want to like buy a house or rent a house and learn how to do that. I teach them exactly how to do that. Or the other option is I also do property management. So I have some clients who are like, I don't have the time. I don't want to learn all this. Just here's my house. You run it as an Airbnb, and then I charge 25% for that. But then I make that house, just get it on Airbnb, get it all dressed up, ready to go, and then it makes a lot of money. So then, everyone's happy. So that's me in a nutshell.
Oh, congrats. Yeah, you're able to grow so fast.
Yeah, it's it's crazy because it was literally like 4 years ago. I was just working a 9 to 5 and I didn't have the house, so ultimately just real estate, Airbnb has just completely changed my life and over the last 4 years.
Perfect. Yeah. So how, I guess what most people probably want to know about is like what you mean by rental arbitrage. Do people actually have to buy the home, or because it does cost a lot, right? And
Oh yeah,
getting to Airbnb.
totally. So here's the thing is that, after I bought my second house, then I was all tapped out from the bank. Like they were like, okay, well, we won't give you any more because you already have 2 mortgages. So I was like, all right. So then that's when I learned about rental arbitrage. And then what's interesting is that you don't need, obviously if you're renting a house, you don't need to have a mortgage. You just rent the house. So obviously you just have to work it out with a landlord, have the right terms set up where you have permission to rent it up as an Airbnb. And you want them to know what you're doing. Like you don't want to try and like keep it all secret and then they find out and then you would get kicked out. So I'd never do that. It's always about just talking to the landlord. You got to pitch it on exactly what you're going to do. You got to sell yourself as like a good renter, and then you sign the lease, and then you set up the house, and then you're good to go. So that's how rental arbitrage works.
Any tips on like how to not get as much objections from landlords? Because most landlords think that Airbnb they're gonna trash the property, or and people might not like it, like, or neighbors might not like it because people come in and out.
Yeah, so as far as that goes, like if you're pitching the landlord on Airbnb, well, you just gotta sell yourself as a great tenant. You're an A+ tenant, you got great credit, and you have excellent finances. You could literally show like, hey, look, here's my bank account. Like, you don't need to worry about the rent with me. And then also like your credit score. So that's that. But as far as taking care of the house, you could like, just so you know, I don't allow parties at my Airbnb. So you could say, hey, look, if someone tries to book a party, I actually cancel it for a full refund. Like I don't allow parties at my Airbnbs. They're just for people who are just looking to get away with friends or family for a while. But yeah, typically if it's a party, it's like going to be a local that books a one nighter. That those are the bookings you got to watch out for.
Okay. So, what are some of your biggest hurdles and setbacks when you first started?
Um, I mean, there were many. Like I made so many mistakes. I made like all the mistakes, when you're new. Big thing is like you just got to have a good system to be able to have good communication with your team. So the biggest thing with this business is that you don't want to be the guy doing everything. Okay, because if you're the person who has to do everything, then you just traded your job for another job. So the way I set up my business is that I don't do everything. I have the cleanings automated, so I collect a cleaning fee and I just give that to my cleaners. If there's maintenance needed, then I luckily, like, my cleaners, they're pretty solid with maintenance, so then they're able to take care of that. Got a good system, keep everything on Slack. They send pictures when they're done. So I mean, it's a lot. It's like it's like I actually made my own course on Kusu D&B. It includes just like hours and hours of like every single aspect of setting up an Airbnb. So it's like a $2,000 course, but that's what I have on there, and that's like 4 years worth of like all the wins, all the losses, like just sharing everything I know about Airbnb. And it's just designed to compress that learning curve all the way down. But yeah, to answer your question, as far as what mistakes to avoid, it's like I would just want to learn as much as possible about the business from people who are doing a lot better than myself. So that's actually what I did when I was new. Like I invested in coaching, I learned this business and saved me a lot of time and money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you yourself invested in coaching programs
Yeah,
and
absolutely. So it's, I learned from people who were doing a lot more than me at the time. So I was like, all right, great. Like let's shorten the learning curve here. So I mean, sure, I made some mistakes too, but I also shortened the learning curve and probably dodged like hundreds and hundreds of mistakes. So that's what I did. So my best thing is like, if you want to figure out how to best run an Airbnb, you gotta know the market, you gotta know the demand, you gotta know the occupancy rate, you gotta know like what your competition's charging. So just being able to have the data and then use it to like your advantage.
there's more than meets the eye.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's it looks pretty simple. It's like, oh, I'm gonna just put this on Airbnb for this house. But there's like if you like that's like an average Airbnb operator, but the way I run it is like, hey, I'm running this like I'm running like, imagine like running like an in and out, you gotta check out the market, you gotta check out other competition, you gotta make sure that your Airbnb stands out. So that's the way I run my business.
Okay. So how how are you able to like, I'm sure with Airbnb, reviews are one of the most important thing, right? How do you maintain, like, since you're managing multiple properties,
Yeah.
um, how do you maintain the level of cleanliness or check-in, like the level of service that you provide to
Oh,
your Airbnb customers? Mhm.
totally. This is just like a totally like free tip, but have your cleaners send pictures after they clean. So that does two things. Like number one, that protects you if a guest shows up and was like, "Oh, it was dirty when I got there." But then the second thing is that if the cleaner has to take a picture of their work, then they're gonna be like, "Okay, I better make sure my work looks good before I take a picture." So that's just like a one little free tip there. Just make sure you get pictures, document it, have it ready to go. But if you have your cleaners take pictures, then that's how you can ensure better cleanliness. Instead of like, hey, you cleaned it, right? Okay, cool. Like get some documentation.
Mm, okay. And also like probably like one of the most important thing is finding the right team too, right? A reliable team.
Yeah, exactly. So my thing is like I utilize my cleaners a lot. So just if they are looking for good maintenance, I mean, you want to ask them, hey, are you familiar with maintenance? Want to make sure that they're at least decently tech savvy so they can kind of handle some stuff, outside of the just regular scope of like cleaning.
Mm, got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe let's just say you do offer two services, right? One is the rental arbitrage and a coaching program, and the other is where you um, manage the property for property owners.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, um, how um, how much returns should these people expect?
Yeah. So here's the thing is that if you were to rent it out, like, typical house, if you were to rent it out, it might cash flow like $200 or $300 a month. That's typically what happens in most cases. And then it's funny, like one fridge breaks or one toilet breaks, and then all of a sudden, bam, like, if that's not covered with home warranty, then you're out a lot of money. So the thing is that if you were to rent it out on Airbnb, if you set up with the right market, the right house, you should be cash flowing at least like $2,000 a month. So if you're setting it up right, make sure you're running it right. 2 grand is the number I'd shoot for. So 2 grand per house per month. And sometimes, like, here's the thing, it's totally possible to do a lot more. Like I say 2 grand, that's like pretty conservative. But during the summer, during like really busy seasons, wherever the busy season for travel is in your market, I mean, it's totally possible to make 2 or 3 times that. I think like one of my houses did like $10,000 in the month, and the total expenses on it was like about like 2,500. It was like a little bit nicer, higher end house, but I still ended up profiting over $7,000 in 1 month from one house. So that's like, how much like a regular house might make over a year or two, just if you were to rent it out regularly. And that's really the power of Airbnb. It's just creating massive cash flow to a point where if you do this business right, and if you can really work hard at it and build it, grow it, have a house set up well, price it well, manage it well, then I mean, it's crazy. I'm 28 years old and I'm retired. Like, it's nuts. Like, I mean, okay, I still work like about 3 to 5 hours a week, just handling like bigger stuff in the business, but I outsource all the small stuff and then just take care of my business. So that's what I do.
Right, and I guess this is one big way of building passive income, right? Building the cash flow so that eventually you don't need to work as much and you can quit a full-time job.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing, some people love their job. Absolutely, go for it. I mean, I enjoyed my job, but then the only reason I quit is because like I think it was the point when I had like 5 or 6 houses, and that was making me more money working like about 3 hours a week outside of my job. That was making me more money than my actual job that I was working for 40 hours a week at. So then that's the point where I was like, all right, it's time to quit my job. Let's just focus on growing this business. And what's interesting is that, I was taking the profits from those houses and I was reinvesting them into getting more houses open. So it was just like creating like a compound residual income that just keeps paying you every month. So that's the crazy thing with Airbnb is that, it's all about just maximizing your cash flow. And I know that there's people who have millions of dollars, like that are, maybe they have like 100 or 200 units or something. And the thing is that in terms of their total cash flow, maybe their total cash flow is like 20 or 30 grand a month, but you could achieve that with like 15, 20 Airbnbs or less. I'm just saying, like, you don't have to have 100 houses make 20 grand a month. If you want to get to the 20 grand a month number, I mean, you could just have 10 houses on Airbnb that are making 2,000 a month each. So that's the idea there.
So uh, did COVID in any way affect the business?
Totally, absolutely. So when COVID first hit, there were all the lockdowns. I got about $20,000 in cancellations. So I still had like another 20 grand still coming in, but I was still able to just kind of break even. So absolutely, COVID did hurt the business when there were all the forced lockdowns. But then after 2 months of forced lockdowns, then everyone all of a sudden is like, I need to travel, I need to get out of here. So then they all ended up traveling and booking at my houses. And then I had like 97% occupancy. So my business like tripled or quadrupled like immediately in the months right after COVID. So it was like slow, then really busy, and then it went like back to normal levels. So that's how COVID affected my business.
So you didn't actually lose any
Yeah,
money.
it was just like 2 slow months, and then like really crazy busy, and then kind of back to normal.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so it's pretty chill.
Um, for how do you like if you were to do it all over again, how do you how would you do what would you do differently and how would you minimize the risk?
Let me think. I might have set up like I might have had like a backup cleaning team or maybe another cleaning team manage like more houses. I kind of just had my one cleaning team just take care of a ton of houses. And then like I had to like, go through a lot of growing pains is like they need to hire more employees. So I would say like maybe have two different teams taking care of different houses. That way you could have one as a backup in case like one's like not doing their job right, or you're not happy with one, then you have to back up. So that's how I would do it differently. And that's actually what I'm doing right now. It's like I set up in the new city. I have 2 Airbnbs out there. So I got 2 different cleaning teams. And then one's taking care of one house, one's taking care of the other house. And then in case I'm not happy with one, the other can take care of both. So that's how I would do it.
And how would you minimize the risk of um, risk of vacancy?
Oh, well, here's the thing. Vacancy is normal. It happens, like the thing is that with Airbnbs, if you do it right, you can cover like all your expenses within like seven days on average, right? So at like maybe 25%, that'll cover your expenses. And then when it gets busier, right, like you can charge more, but then when it's less busy, you charge less. So that's what you do is like on average, I'd say if you have a decently well performing Airbnb, you should be booked up like 60 to 70% of the time. So, you're looking at 30 to 40% of the time it's vacant. But the idea is that you can charge a lot more during the days that they are there. And, that's when people really want to get away and just like have a cool, nice house to stay at.
Do you have any strategies on how you can minimize the vacancy. And I know Airbnbs, they have like different levels too. They have like super host, and they also have like higher, like more expensive, what is it called, like plus or something,
Yeah.
where you can charge more, where you get.
Yeah, I've heard of those. I mean, basically, I'd say it's just all about like setting up your listing well, so make sure you have good photos, update your description, update your pricing. Pricing is really important. You got to make sure you're charging more on higher demand days and less on lower demand days. So that's how I minimize my vacancy. And, even if you do a great job, you'll never like, it's really unusual if you're like 100% booked, unless someone books for like a whole month or something. But otherwise, then it's pretty normal. You just have you're going to have some vacancy no matter what. You don't get rid of it, but the idea is, yeah, you would just want to have like, I'd say 60-70% occupancy rate. You're doing good.
Great. Okay. What do you use to do the pricing? Do you just let Airbnb like automate it, or you?
No, no. I use another site. It's all in my course, but it's pretty good. There's like 4 PhD scientists that like create a really good algorithm. So that's what I use.
Why
Yeah.
don't you let Airbnb do it?
Because Airbnb's algorithm, like, so what they do is they actually like they can completely like drop the price a little too much, so you don't get paid enough. Like they'll drop the price a lot. So you're using Airbnb smart pricing, so that's something you got to watch out for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that Airbnb, that you can also set like a limit, like the minimum price you can charge.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm saying is that they might like even drop below those limits, or it's possible. Like I've heard of hosts like having that issue. So then it's just stuff you gotta watch out for. But yeah, Airbnb's smart pricing thing, like I would not recommend it. I use another program that I use like within my course, so it's cool.
Right. Any final thoughts and tips on like people who want to get into this, and also,
Yeah, the best thing you can do is just make sure you take action. It's cool to get the research and do the knowledge, but your life is not going to change unless you can get a lease signed or schedule some showings, sign a lease, actually do this, and that's where your life can really change. So I've seen that for my clients, and I'm happy. It's not when I make money, but it's like when I see my clients just signing a lease, getting things done, staying at the Airbnbs, like that's when I'm happiest. So my best advice is like, I mean, I work with some people who just want to like understand and get all the knowledge. I mean, that's cool, but then if they are all studying and no action, then nothing's going to change. So it's best just to make sure you're taking action. Don't worry about it being perfect. Just make sure you're getting something done. Okay, you don't need to get like the absolute best. All the stars need to align. Like, hey, if you get a house, make sure it's in the right market. Take some action. Whether it's, hey, do a coaching call or buy the course, like study it. But no matter what, just take some action in real life, and then you'll have some real changes in your life.
thank you for that
Cool.
mindset, action driven tip.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like nothing will change without action. So just make sure you're doing something, and also like schedule some time. And to be very real with you, I only worked like 2 to 3 hours a week on building this business. I had a full-time job for the whole first year, and actually even like the second year. I quit my job like after 2 years after I bought my first house. So best thing is make sure that you're building your business, and you could do it with only like 2-3 hours a week. It doesn't take like, it's not like an all-day thing. I was working like an all-day I was working at a job all day.
In the beginning, it might be a little bit more work, right? Because
Yeah, if you don't know what you're doing, but then if you figure out what to do, then yeah, we're talking like 2 to 3 hours worth of actual work, and you can completely change your life. Like most people, I mean, if we're just talking big picture here, Cindy, like most people, they spend like 40 hours a week working at a job where they're getting paid the dimes. Okay. Like, I mean, think about how much value people are really creating in their business. And then, if they create, say, like $1,000 worth of value, but they're going to be paid like 100 on it, basically. That's very standard. Oh, and then, hey, maybe you get a base salary or whatever, but then you get the commission, it's like 10%. Well, I'm using like an example if you're in sales, working like I was in tech sales. And sure, I made great money, but for one example, I mean, I sold like $800,000. I've moved 800,000 worth of product in 1 year. And then out of that 800,000, I ended up making 130 grand. So it was cool with like base plus commission. But then the thing is that out of that 800, that I produced, I got 130. It's like, where's the rest of the 670 going? And sure, the owner just got to pay the expenses, bills, whatever. But then the owner's pocketing at least like 200 or 300 grand without doing any work, right? So like, I mean, I'm just saying that that's the mindset that I think that it's really, I have more safety and security than I ever had in my life. And that came after I left corporate. So, you don't have to leave corporate right away. You just got to build a business where you're getting paid the dollars and you can pay out the dimes.
Kudos to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how can people reach you?
Yeah. So you could reach me on Insta. My Instagram is real estate Kusu. So real estate and then KUSU. That's K as in King, USU. So yeah, just real estate Kusu on Insta. Also on Facebook, I'm just Justin Kusu B&B. Feel free to add, follow, shoot me a message. And then you can also check out my website, kusubnb.com. That's Kusu and then bnb.com. And you could feel free to check out my course, see some results, see some testimonials. Like I put a lot of work into this site because I want to be able to help people completely change their lives, and if each Airbnb makes like $2,000 a month, I mean, my course is $2,000. So you just got to be willing to invest into yourself. I mean, I priced at that because it's like, hey, look, if you can't invest $2,000, what are you going to do to invest into, like, I just want you to know up front, it takes about $15,000 to set up like a, really good Airbnb. So if we're talking about, money wise, hey, you got to have 15 grand ready to sign a lease, deposit, and completely furnish and set up the house. So I'm just saying, like, yeah, my course is $2,000. It's like, hey, look, here's all the answers, save all the time, study everything you need to know. But then, yeah, so you can reach out to me on Facebook, Insta, or check out my course at kusubnb.com.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, and looking forward to seeing you in the next show.
Yeah, for sure. I'll catch you later. Good meeting you earlier, Cindy. Take care. Talk.
Have a great day. Bye.
All right, you too. Bye.